whenever that ball will go out of play and they can make a legal sub, they will take the players who are normally not starters, who are seniors, and replace them with the regular starters. A throw in early on here for North Carolina State, ranked number 2 in the nation, beating George Mason and California 1-0 to end up here in the championship. Garnata intercepted. Number 3 was Mary Patera. Now Abahayat sends it back, all the way back towards the Carolina box. Broken up. Charmaine Hooper, who led the ACC in scoring. Ball is tackled out of play, and it belongs to North Carolina. Charmaine Hooper is a person to watch, an all-ACC, one of 2 players on this team from Canada. Ball will be tossed in by Andrea Zeman. We're in the opening minute of play here in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Nice autumn-like day for the national championship for women's soccer. Abahayat, number 11, clearing it out. Headed straight up towards Wendy Gebauer, a member of the U.S. national team. Several members on this club are national team members. Got a foul on NC State. Jill Rutten appeared to be disputing that a little bit. That's a player to watch. Seamus made note of her earlier, and she, like Shannon Higgins, only a junior, so these players will be back. Ball sent long by Shannon Higgins. Now headed by Zeman towards Laura Boone, one of the seniors that may be subbed for early. We've got a foul there, and North Carolina will put it in play. From that far wing sideline, scoreless tie. We've just started. Ball played into the box off Gebauer. Loose ball, blocked in front, and then cleared out. Laura Kerrigan, an outstanding senior, making that play. That looked dangerous for a moment.
Well, it did indeed, and of course the North Carolina State defense has got to be concerned about high balls dropping in. It's a bit windy out there, so they'll want to be careful about making the right judgment on these swirling high crosses that UNC can throw at them.
This is Higgins to the corner, playing it into the box, headed away by Kerrigan. Possession still on the side of North Carolina. Beerta Hegstad, who scored once yesterday, and now it's kicked out of play, but we've got a foul anyway on Beerta Hegstad. I stand corrected before. I said that Laura Boone may be subbed for early. She's only a sophomore, not one of the seniors. Where they will make the change, at least if they go according to yesterday's game plan, is definitely in goal where Ann Chiro's a goalkeeper. You talk about great depth on this team. Ann Chiro last year allowed 1 goal all season long, and this year she ended up as the backup keeper, beaten out by Meredy Proust from St. Louis. Now it's controlled by North Carolina State. Played into Kerrigan. Kerrigan, their all-time leading scorer, is broken up. Upfield it comes to Garnata. Knocked away. Charmaine Hooper losing her footing. It was raining earlier in the day, in the early morning, and it was also pretty foggy as well, but those conditions have gone. But I wonder, Seamus, how the field will be this afternoon, whether that will play any kind of a factor. It may have dried off by now.
Yeah, it is a bit slick, and of course there are other qualities about this field that make for difficult plays for a visiting team. That is, of course, the very substantial crown on the field. It runs off heavily to each side, and therefore balls, as Ensign Doran said, balls that are played sharply to the wing areas can run away from players. But I don't think they will do it. They will do that quite as lethally as they can on artificial grass, which does create all kinds of problems on the bounce and the roll.
41 minutes, 12 seconds still to play. First half here in Chapel Hill. North Carolina in the white and blue, and North Carolina State in the red as it's broken up. But there was a holding foul. Linesman conferring with the referee. They're going to give the ball to NC State. Ball will be put in play on this near side.
NC State, as they did in the semifinal, will like to collapse and pressure hard when they lose possession in the opponent's defensive third, and try to win the ball early. They tend to swarm around the ball carrier, put a lot of pressure on the North Carolina players as they try to come out on attack.
Laura Kerrigan finding Fabienne Guiraud. Guiraud sending it into the box. Quick shot, and that was just wide, but what a golden opportunity. We have a new goalkeeper, Meredy Proust, just a sophomore from St. Louis. 0.29 goals against average this season. Had an outstanding year. Started a majority of the games. Some pushing there from Laura Kerrigan. Very aggressive going after the ball. One thing you find about the women that are playing here, A lot of them are on the Honor Society. Kerrigan is a potential Rhodes Scholar. Besides being a great player, very strong academically.
The other substitution for UNC is Pam Kalinowski, the number 2 player who has come in to replace Donna Wrigley, the second senior to be taken out after a few minutes of action.
This is Lori Henry, senior from Seattle, Washington. Sending it. Ava Hyatt. They're going to say it last went off Kerrigan. So a throw-in coming up here for number 11, Hyatt. Hyatt looking in for Garnata, headed away, and they're going to say, the linesman's going to say it's belonging to North Carolina State. So Laura Kerrigan will be putting it back in play for NC State. It's a scoreless tie. We have 38 minutes, 55 seconds. Still to play in the first half, Charmaine Hooper. And she had done some pushing up. North Carolina State, some say, if you take 3 midfielders, 3 forwards, or however they would line up, are among the best, if not the best 6 in the country. Putting the ball in play, Shannon Higgins. And the opposition knows that something can happen when she directs things. Shannon Higgins sends it in long, swirling left into the box. It's headed but wide of the goalkeeper, Lindsay Brescher, who had 11 shutouts on her own this year and combined with other keepers for 17. So very stingy teams here. In fact, they only allowed 8 goals all season. So they don't give up much at the back. Long ball played up near midfield. Now it's controlled.
Some other incredible statistic, JP, for UNC is that they've only been behind twice in their history.
Tell you what, I think the busiest person that I know is the statistician for the University of North Carolina. Update after update, but it's all positive stats. The 88-game unbeaten streak on this home field.
And one of those 2 games in which they were behind was this season against this team, NC State.
Here's where they score a lot of goals off of corner kicks. They did one yesterday. Higgins sending it in looking for a Hegstad. Loose ball in the box, and then it is cleared by Jill Rutten. Good job to get it out of danger. Up the near sideline, it goes out of play, and North Carolina State, with Laura Kerrigan, will toss it in. This program, NC State, has come a long way, with all credit going to Larry Gross. They're only 5 years into the program. 4 years they made the NCAA playoffs. And this year, for the first time, they're in the finals. And they've got a young team, so they'll be back. And I'm sure will help their recruiting. Right side, Garnata giving it up on the wing. Up for Wendy Gebauer. Gebauer was looking. She had Zeman passing her on the overlap. Now she'll find Zeman. Picked off. Rutten couldn't find it. Now Wendy Gebauer and Jill Rutten. Played up in the middle. Debbie Lisk, a senior. And she loses to Shannon Higgins. Going long for Pam Kalinowski. And it goes off of a deflection. Out of play, a throw-in coming up for North Carolina.
Well, you saw UNC there with some nice combination play in midfield, solving some of their problems and eventually getting a good attack going. Here's another one of those high crosses.
To that far post. Oh. Tell you, the wind may have held that one up for a little bit. I thought that was going to clear by a good bit. We'll have a goal kick coming up for Lindsay Brescher. It's a scoreless tie from Chapel Hill, North Carolina. 36 minutes, 14 seconds left in the first half. Back in the action, a scoreless tie for the women's NCAA Div1 National Championship here in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Right side, Wendy Gebauer. Gebauer against Patera. Gebauer still with it. Left-footed shot, hit her own player, Kalinowski. And now it is cleared out of there by NC State. Off the head of Lori Henry, it sails out of play, and a throw-in coming up for NC State. Still 35 minutes, 35 seconds to play in the first half. Scoreless as Kerrigan finds Garreau. She is knocked down, but play continues. Thought Laura Boone might have drawn a whistle there. Hegstad playing the other way. We saw a bit of a physical charge there, Seamus, that wasn't called, but I thought there might be a little more physical stuff in the early going because NC State can play that way. And in fact, Jean-Paul Verheyse, the head coach of California, talked a lot about their physical style of play yesterday, and he picked them to win based on the physical style. He says NC is a better team, UNC, but NC State, the more physical. He picked them to win. Yeah,
interesting decision on his part, but I think there certainly is a quality of physical play about the way they approach the game. I think it's all within the rules, and and occasionally in the heat of battle, any one player sort of can go over the top from either side, but they certainly are into early challenges. But right now, here comes UNC.
Kalinowski sending a right footer in, takes an easy bounce for Brescia. Okay, if this field were cut up a bit, that ball might take some treacherous bounces if it were wet.
Well, you see why Kalinowski has been brought in to replace the senior. She's got on the left side, she's a very good attacker from the left side. UNC scored 3 goals yesterday, 1 on the penalty, but all 3 attacks came from the flanks.
7 goals as a freshman. Now Kalinowski in her sophomore year. Throwing again for Kerrigan. The wind starting to pick up here at Chapel Hill. But still a much nicer day than last year in the colds of Massachusetts for the national championship. A nice setting at UMass, but it was awful cold. Probably about 5 below 0 with the wind chill factor. Made it tough as UNC defeated UMass for the national championship. Into the box, it's broken up, taken away Carla Werden. Broken up again, that time by Patera.
Yeah, Patera again, right fullback, coming up there to prevent a fast attack from the back by UNC and try to keep the ball down there. They have these very good finishers up front for NC State, so obviously they want to get the ball to them as early as possible. One of the ways to do that is to win it from the opponent as they try to come forward. They were quite successful in doing that yesterday in the semifinal for patches, but it's a kind of tactic and style, JP, that's hard to sustain for 90 minutes. And if there's one weakness on this NC State team, it's the lack of a bench. And that could hurt them, particularly if this game ends up tied and going into extra time.
It will not be decided on penalty kicks as it was before. The penalty kick situation saw North Carolina State beating North Carolina, but that penalty kick win was not counted as an official loss for NC in that tournament game because of the penalty kick situation. This game will not go penalty kicks. It would be sudden death overtime, or not sudden death overtime, 2 15-minute overtimes, and then the extra time, if need be, until someone scores a goal.
That's right. Thereafter, it would be sudden death.
Ball tossed in. So it could be a long afternoon. We'll see. Ball cleared up by NC State to Hooper, looking for Garreau. Headed away by Carla Werden. That was a tough challenge, but she won it, but it's cleared ahead. Lisk, one of 3 seniors on NC State, stripped of the ball. Zeman, but she'll give it away. Controlled by Elena Kraft. She pushes back. It is Linda Hamilton, an all-ACC member. Right wing side, could be dangerous in the box, broken up by Carla Werden. And she intercepted the Jill Rutten cross. Gebauer shaking loose. Oh, what a nice move to midfield. 3-on-2 as she leads the charge. Garnata to the right, Kalinowski left. Gebauer, tough tackle. Ball kept in play though by Higgins, but an outstanding job to break it up by Linda Hamilton, and that's what she does best.
Well, it was 1-on-1, Gebauer against Hamilton, and Hamilton just a little bit tougher on that exchange. Gebauer might have opted to go with a give and go there, and she didn't.
Yeah, she took a 3-on-2, didn't she, and made it a 1-on-1 as it's played on the left. Intended for Kalinowski.
Yeah, she definitely had Kalinowski on the left in a very good position to give her a pass for her to get a shot or to play a 1-2, but she opted to try to go 1-on-1 against maybe the best sweeper in the nation, and I like the kind of confidence. That's a hallmark of UNC teams, but I also am impressed by Hamilton's cool and strong tackle.
Free kick coming up for Linda Hamilton. Sweeper, just a sophomore, so if she's already the best or arguably one of the best in the nation, think of how much better she'll be as a senior. Coming back the other way. Ball played to the right wing side. North Carolina on the attack. The Tar Heels bringing up with Abba Hyatt from Higgins. They have Garnata to the right. Intended for Gebauer, but it's cleared away. Here's a chance for Garreau. Garreau getting some help. Debbie Lisk and Charmaine Hooper, that outstanding front line of NC State. But it's going to be broken up. Laura Boone making the play initially. Upfield for Garnata. Still a scoreless tie. 30-23 to go. First half. Coming back the other way. Elena Kraft for Hooper. Upended. But the ball was what Zeman appeared to get first.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, she got all ball first, and then Hooper just went over her leg.
It's rough on the sidelines.
Yeah, it's getting a little tough over there.
Fierta Hegstad, who can play it rough. This time she's taken down by Hamilton. Now, Seamus, is it a physical game?
Well, there's another check in there, another challenge by Kalinowski on Jill Rutten. So it is physical, but it's all I think good, solid physical play. I don't think you would argue that anything here is over the top here. We'll take a look at one of them. Yeah, look at this sliding tackle by the retreating sweeper, Hamilton, as she takes on Hagstad. A good tackle in there with from the left side with the left foot. And now a foul has been called, this time against Hooper, the center forward for NC State, who does have a reputation for being quite physical.
Ball played up by North Carolina, but it's intercepted by Elena Kraft. She'll lose it. Kalinowski sending it in off the left foot, but that sails high and wide of the net.
Yeah.
Goal kick coming up. And as we come back, some substitutions coming on the field. April Kemper coming on for NC State. We've got Chris Houston and Stacy Blazo. And Blazo had an impact yesterday, Seamus, in that game. She came on, she ended up scoring a goal, but when she came on early, she seemed to make things happen. A good substitution right off the bench.
Yeah, she did get the second goal of the assist again to Higgins. So she obviously knows how to read that teammate's play.
She is a freshman from Dallas, Texas. And even though Anson Dorrance will lose 6 seniors, he should get Tracy Bates back from a foot injury that kept her out for this season. She was a 2-time All-American, but when you look at his team, he's got so many freshmen, sophomores, and juniors, and they'll all be coming back thanks to some great experience that they've picked up along the way because of the injuries and the graduating seniors.
And there are rumors, probably well-founded, that he's on the hunt for a couple of outstanding high school players. Wouldn't be a surprise.
I think you could say that's always a rumor, isn't it?
Yeah.
This time of year, here's Gebauer. Broken up. That's a good challenge by Jill Rudden.
Yeah, it's good physical stuff. There's nothing here to be upset about.
Lori Henry. Now Abba Hyatt helping her out. UNC, their winning streak, especially here at home, no accident. They cover well for each other. They're technically sound. They're all great athletes. You'll see that some of them lettered in 4 sports in high school. On the right side, Houston bumped off the ball. Laura Kerrigan losing her footing there. Ball played right back in, but it stopped easily by the goalkeeper.
Aerial shot by Shannon Higgins.
And now the goal kick coming up for Lindsay Brescher. Started every game for this club. Last year she was the backup to All-American Barbara Wickstand. A lot of outstanding women goalkeepers in this country. You're starting to hear more and more about them. Ball played up now to Shannon Higgins. Looking at the left wing, no one there. Hegstad had stopped her run. Hegstad, a very versatile player. She's played all different positions for Anson Dorrance over her 4-year career, sometimes because of injuries and situations, but she's managed to adapt. She's also a member of a national team, not of the U.S. team, but of Norway.
Yep. She yesterday just had tremendous energy. Of course, she got the all-important first goal, but she really had made some other great efforts, including a spectacular diving header attempt, actually after she had scored. That could have been her second. So she's got wonderful energy, and she's played all over the place for Anson Dorrance over her 4 years.
There's a chance. Stacy Blazo with an edge, plays it into the box for Gebauer. She can't get to it. Stacy Blazo may get another crack. Left footer is blocked, and they'll get a corner.
Yeah, corner kick.
Good hustle.
Well, Shannon Higgins is the specialist for these corners. As we mentioned, one of them ended up in a goal yesterday, but slightly different quality of defense in this match than was thrown up against them by Wisconsin yesterday, although that outstanding goalkeeping by the Wisconsin goalkeeper was quite remarkable.
Yeah, Wisconsin, a very young team, but they'll be back. Here's Higgins sending it into the box. Carla Werden up there. Loose ball off Hegstad, a quick one off the post, and it just trickled wide. How does that ball not manage to go in for University of North Carolina? They had a great chance.
Tremendous chance from the scramble, indeed, and everybody in there had a chance to put it away. They ended up getting another corner. You'll see there's the first opportunity, partially hooked over. Now the clearance off the attempt, and then the little touch that went off a defender just past the far post, and here comes the corner.
So they'll try it again. Hegstad going up, punched out. Gebauer settles it, now plays it well wide of Shannon Higgins. Tough ball for Gebauer to handle in tight quarters. And North Carolina State will end up with a throw-in with 25 minutes and 6 seconds to play in the opening half of play, and it's a scoreless tie. Both teams with good offenses, capable of scoring, but also very capable of shutting down the opposition. At times you don't know whether to expect a high-scoring game when these clubs would play or low-scoring, but in the previous 2 this year, not counting the 4-3 win in the shootout or 4-3 score in the shootout, they were 1-1 ties. So there were not a lot of scoring in those games. Scoreless tie here, first half of the women's championship. Lori Henry be putting it in play on that far wing. Lost her footing as she played it up to Higgins. Now on a quick flick intended for Stacy Blazo, but she too lost her footing. Out of play it goes, but they're going to give it to North Carolina on the throw-in. Chris Houston, a freshman from Texas, missed last year with a knee injury.
And up comes Lori Henry, by the way, for this throw-in. This could be a long throw-in. I think it will be.
What do you mean it could be? There it is. You got it. Off a deflection, but cleared out by Jill Rutten. One thing about North Carolina State, they seem very composed in the back. There's Debbie Lisk. She is coming back in for April Kemper. So Larry Gross does not use his bench all that often. He doesn't have the depth that the University of North Carolina has, at least not at this point.
That's right. Debbie Lisk, of course, being a starter who had been substituted only a few minutes ago by number 23, April Kemper, who is the co-captain. And was a fine player for them, but the quality of players just coming in is getting better and better.
Ball played in off a deflection. Higgins, a rocket off her left foot, but she got underneath it too much. And an opportunity there goes by the boards. You're wondering how good some of these players are. They had their all-ACC team pick. They named 12 players. 9 came from these two schools, so they dominated. 5 for NC State, 4 for the University of North Carolina. The player of the year was Linda Hamilton, and the coach of the year was Larry Gross.
Your lights are on.
North Carolina State will be putting the ball in play. Actually a nice day here, despite a little breeze, much better than this morning when everyone woke up when it was foggy and there was a definite threat of rain. We could still get that before the afternoon is over, but it's turning out into a much better situation. Usually when I say that, then the skies open up.
That's right.
I saw you looking.
I hope it just rains on your side of the table.
It's done that before. On the right side, North Carolina brings it up. Houston's pass, nobody there. And there's Jill Rutten. She'll put a lot of miles on her body this afternoon, running all over, breaking plays up and helping out in the attack. Ball goes out of play, and it'll be taken over by North Carolina State. 18 is Karaman. Ball played up, intended for Debbie Lisk. Lori Henry breaks it up. Lisk kept it alive. And now off a deflection from Houston, it goes downfield. Good run there by Stacy Blazo in the corner. You notice they don't have too much room there on that sideline, maybe 4.5 feet. So if they're going hard after a ball, that track comes up pretty fast.
Yeah. Well, here comes a long throw in once again from Chris Houston. This is quite a useful weapon if they can get a tall player in at the end of this throw.
Scoreless tie. First half of the NCAA Div1 National Championship. Tossed in, headed up straight, and out by North Carolina State. Charmaine Hooper plays it right back to her own goalkeeper. Hooper and Garreau, we mentioned, both from Canada, and actually they were number 1-2 in ACC scoring.
Yeah, and they have each been on the Canadian national women's team.
Hegstad.
Hooper actually born in Guyana, but lived a lot of her life in Canada and citizen of that country.
She's one of the players that Anson Dorrance's team must respect. She can burn you. She had scored at least 1 goal in half of the games that NC State has played in this year. Hegstad on the throw-in to Gebauer. Knocked away and out of play it goes. North Carolina will take it again. Good
play by Mary Patera there, allowing Gebauer to control the ball enough till she got a look at it and then saw enough of the ball to be able to steal in and knock it away. There she is, knocking the ball out of play this time. So a little scrappy play on the far side. The game has lost a little bit of the smoothness it was beginning to establish in midfield for a while, though most of it has been around the NC State goal for the last 10 minutes.
Throw-in coming up. We can see a good shot of the crowd right behind the throw-in as the ball goes out of play. I think the crowd would have been higher this afternoon if the weather might have been a little bit brighter. And also a great basketball team is playing maybe a few blocks down the road. University of North Carolina in the preseason NIT.
Well, here comes Shannon Higgins again with his corner kick.
Higgins will send it in. Headed once. Loose ball. Stacy Blazo across. She wanted to have a Hyatt, but it was a bit too far behind her. UNC trying to get that all-important first goal. 1 goal could do it in a game like this between 2 strong powers. Left wing side on the run. Hamilton.
Whoa.
She can move. Zeman missing on the tackle from behind. Laura Boone cutting it off. It'll go out of play, and a corner kick coming up. But Hamilton looked dangerous on that run.
She sure did, but good play by North Carolina defense too, because Zeman came over, and Boone timed her follow-up run perfectly, as initially Zeman made the commitment, and you'll see now Zeman making the commitment here, just here, and that was enough for Boone to come over and finish it all off. Here comes the corner.
And it's cleared out of play, so they'll just repeat it. Corner kick coming up.
Key to being a second defender, really, as Boone was in that occasion, is timing your run after the first defender in front of you has made the commitment, and she did it quite well.
Here's Jill Rutten. Played a big role in yesterday's win. Plays it in. Punched straight up by Proust. Loose ball. Pushed down. Good effort from Hamilton. And Kerrigan also in there on that play as it's played out to the near side. All the way back. Back forward is Mary Patera. Patera, just a freshman from Falls Church, Virginia, up for Lisk. Plays it wide to the right side. Elena Kraft. Picked up by Hegstad. Kraft slowed down by Hegstad's challenge. Played back to Hamilton. Hamilton with one nice cut, then has it blocked. Picked off by Zeman up the left wing side for Blazo. North Carolina looking to control it on that left side. Shannon Higgins. Couldn't get by Kelly Kerriman. That's a freshman making that play. North Carolina State will have it. Throw in from that far wing sideline. Still a scoreless tie. We've got 17 minutes, 32 seconds to play. First half. Kerriman going back for it. Plays it back to her keeper.
Yeah, well, a little bit of a late hit out there by Fabienne Garreau on Birte Hegstad, and she is obviously unhappy about that, complaining to the referee. Garreau, for her part, just saying she couldn't get out of her way.
Ball played over midfield. Charmaine Hooper misplaying that, and now North Carolina will control it again. Meredith Proust rolling it right side to Laura Boone, a local player from the Chapel Hill area.
Bad mistake there by Boone, but she doesn't have to pay for it. Garreau, though, is a pest in many ways. He's the kind of a player that really goes after everybody and will not give them an easy pass. And she was the one putting the pressure on.
Kerrigan working hard there with Hyatt. They'll keep possession. Jill Rutten tossing it into Kerrigan. And now Rutten will play to the box. Hooper, a header, kept in by Garreau. And they're going to give it a corner again. Yeah, Hooper looked dangerous up there in the air, and Proust has to be real careful on that line.
Well, so far they've done a reasonably good job preventing Hooper from getting into space where she can make forward runs through the middle, or as she did yesterday, runs around the flanks and put some good crosses in. Some substitutions now here for North Carolina.
Pam Kalinowski back in. Julie Garnata will come in on the next opportunity. Jill Rutten ready to go on her corner. Headed down once. Here comes Elena Kraft, and she put it upstairs. Welcome back, everyone, to Chapel Hill, North Carolina. John Paul Della Camera along with Seamus Mallon. It's a scoreless tie, North Carolina and North Carolina State for the national championship and the bragging rights to who's better this year in Carolina soccer. Used to be just there was one team that got all the headlines from the state of North Carolina. Now there's two, and I think there'll be two for a long time. Goalkeeper Lindsay Brescher from Atlanta, Georgia. Off Jill Rutten, headed back by Hegstad. Broken up there from the back from Patera. And now Kerriman sending it long, but it goes out of play. A throw-in coming up for the University of North Carolina, who were shut out yesterday for the first half by Wisconsin and came up with 3 goals in the last 16 or so minutes to win it. But they had a hard time with a hot goalkeeper. They're not getting nearly as many chances in this first half as I thought they had yesterday. Kalinowski sending it back. Shannon Higgins lifting it. Running is Houston. Houston looking to get it around Kerrigan. That's a good recovery from Laura Kerrigan. Back to the keeper. Here's a challenge. Kalinowski. The keeper is out. Playing it in front. Higgins. Score! Shannon Higgins. And it's 1-0 off a dreadful mistake.
Well, a sign of the champion is the ability to capitalize on mistakes, and not many of them have been made by the NC back before, but Shannon Higgins was ready this time to capitalize on the one chance she got. Keeper dispossessed by a very good heads-up run across the middle. You'll see it here, the intercepting run. And then the ball is pushed back across beautifully to Shannon Higgins, who just has to touch it past the defenders closing on her. And that's the first goal of the game. And once again, Carolina is out in front, as they always seem to be. Kalinowski obviously joyful as well she should be.
Let's go back, Seamus, and talk about that. Is there a communications problem between Kerrigan and the goalkeeper? I thought Kerrigan was getting into a decent position. What happened?
Yeah, I think there was a communication problem. Kerrigan, on the other hand, was being pressed very, very hard. It was not an easy situation for her. I think it was Chris Houston who was over there putting the pressure on and not allowing her to have an easy chance, and she just didn't get her head up. Now here's Chris Houston on the ball again.
1-0 North Carolina with the lead. Yesterday when they scored that first goal, the killer instinct took over. We'll see what happens here, but I saw NC State huddling after that last goal. Players on the field talking about it, probably saying, let's not get down. This game is a long way from the finish. Kalinowski playing it back. On that far wing sideline, Zeman's pass picked off by Kerman. Looking for Hooper, and now Gebauer, that's blocked. Taken back by Lori Henry, back to the goalkeeper, Meredith Cruz. The goal will be Higgins' goal from Kalinowski. Higgins had 10 goals this season. That would be 11. 6 of them, Seamus, have been game-winning goals. And 6 game-winning assists. So that kind of tells you the role that she has as an impact player in this club.
Well, I talked about Kalinowski earlier, too, coming in. And as we watch Houston, another player off the bench who had done the early damage, but Kalinowski making the great run in and picking the ball away from the keeper and putting the cross in.
Well, that time it doesn't work. Sun is trying to peek through here and warm things up, but it's not been totally successful.
Kalinowski, as we mentioned, one of those players who comes in off the bench, JP. She's the number 2 player. She replaced number 12, Donna Wrigley, a starter as a senior. But I think, you know, as Anson Dorrance looks at it, from Boone at the back up to the front, you go with, you dance with the ones what brung you, and
that's good English,
you know,
isn't it?
that's why not?
Or proper English. That's good English isn't good English either. Hooper in the air for this challenge. Along the left wing, and it is knocked out of play. It belongs to North Carolina. The time of that goal, 30 minutes, 45 seconds. Unofficially, we'll check it out for you. But it is Higgins' goal from Kalinowski. Kalinowski in a soft touch back for Higgins. Cleared out of there by Hamilton. Now headed away by Carla Werden. Hooper is there after it. 11 minutes to play unofficially. First half of play. North Carolina with a 1-0 lead.
Lori Henry, I think, there with the foul on Charmaine Hooper.
Free kick coming up for North Carolina State. Mary Patera. Long, hard left-footed boot, but straight at the goalkeeper, and Proust has no problem with that one. It's a 1-0 lead, and it is North Carolina on a Higgins goal from Kalinowski at the 30-minute, 45-second mark. Ball played upfield, and Patera breaks it up with a header, trying for Jill Rutten. Now it's Hamilton, upfield. That gets by a couple players. Laura Boone is back for it to Carla Werden. And right back to the goalkeeper, Proust again. Proust was redshirted in 1986, but came on to beat out Anne Chereau for the #1 goalkeeper's job here at UNC. Kalinowski, left side, Hegstad. Now Garnata, who's back into the lineup. Unlimited substitution here, so you'll see players go out and then come back in off of a guaranteed substitution situation on a dead ball. So you might see them in and out several more times before the afternoon is over. But Anson Dorrance uses his bench more, and as Larry Gross said, it's really because he has more depth. Not that Larry's opposed to using it or going to his bench early and often, but the depth belongs to North Carolina. And that could be an edge or a factor in this one. Houston looking for this one. Patera with a challenge, making a second challenge to win it. There's a tough one in there from Ava Hyatt. She'll lose the ball, but I'll tell you, she worked hard at that one on the near sideline. And now it is a foul on North Carolina, so NC State will take over with Patera.
Laura Boone and Fabienne Garreau really going at it pretty hard down this right side.
Off a deflection, it goes out of play, and North Carolina will take it again. They've got the lead here, 8 minutes, 52 seconds to play. But a 1-0 lead against a quality team like North Carolina State is not a guaranteed win. Not with this much time left. It's played back by Hamilton, the All-ACC sweeper. Lindsey Brescher, backup goalkeeper a year ago to #1, starting every game. Higgins couldn't find it. Hooper gets over her and Lori Henry. Now Gebauer looks for it, so does Debbie Lisk. Players converging on that far sideline. Now Higgins will take it, looks for some room to operate, finds Garnata. This whole right side of the field, there's no one on it. And now everyone starts to shift.
Yeah, there's not a lot of width to this game, I think partly because of the field and the crowd seems to encourage players to play a little bit more central than they ought to. Interesting that there are obviously some tight one-on-one marking situations out here, and that the most notable of which, of course, is Lori Henry on Charmaine Hooper, as we see them there. Charmaine Hooper just holding the ball for a free kick, but also Boone, the number 22, the right fullback for UNC, on Fabienne Garot.
Patera putting it up for Hamilton down the left wing side. She had that good run earlier. Hamilton takes it to the end line, try to keep it in. Back in the action, here's Wendy Gebauer, who just replaced Houston in the lineup during our commercial break. And now Patera will block it, but not clear it out. Andrea Zeman, left footer, and off of bounds, it sails wide of the net. North Carolina creates a lot of chances for themselves. They're an aggressive team. You know, we talked about North Carolina State being physical, but UNC has the edge over their opponents in fouls as well. But in the corner kicks, I was amazed at one of the stats, Seamus, that show that UNC has 135 corner kicks to 37 for the opposition. Yeah. And they score a lot of goals off of those corner kick restarts. But they set them up, obviously, by their offensive thrust forward, going forward, creating the breaks. Charmaine Hooper couldn't get around Lori Henry. Ball goes out of play. Throwing coming up for North Carolina. They lose it on the near wing. Laura Kerrigan to Charmaine Hooper. Couldn't control it on that near sideline. Throw in from Ava Hyatt, number 11. You can hear perhaps on our microphones the referee saying to Hooper, whistle blows, the ball stays. Don't touch it. Ball headed out of play off of Garnata, so now Kerrigan will toss it in. Laura Kerrigan, a gifted athlete, not just a soccer player, also played on their basketball team when injuries struck.
Of course, in that case, the whistle hadn't blown because the ball had gone out over the sideline. So it's a nice little cliche, but it wasn't apropos at that moment. We want to be picky with the ref.
But do we?
Why not?
I guess we do, or half of us do. Throw in from this near sideline, North Carolina State, 1 goal down. Up for Garot now to Hooper. Nice fake by Hooper, who's got some good speed and aggressiveness as well. Here comes Garot with a shot, and that's easily stopped. Garot was way out when she took it, and Proust had a good view of it.
Yeah, well, you know, there's a little bit of frustration creeping into the play of Hooper here, because there she did well to get away from her marker and kept her at bay, and then ran right into a crowd of players who were defending centrally when there was really some good opportunity to lay the ball off to either side and create a chance. So her head is getting down like that, and she's not really seeing the opportunities, and that's not going to help very much.
Well, she might see them better now. The sun has crept through for the first time this afternoon as North Carolina State brings it down to Elena Kraft. Broken up by Hegstad. Hegstad up for Gebauer. North Carolina gets the energy going. Up the left wing side to Kalinowski. A challenge there from Hamilton. There's some solid hits going on out there.
Well, crowd
took no prisoners.
There's some NC State folks here because they're a little unhappy with that decision after the one that had been allowed to go when Hegstad had clattered into somebody. But here's the check as she just moves right in front, Hamilton does, to put the challenge on Kalinowski.
The thing I like about Hamilton, though, she does not hesitate. She goes out there, she reads the game well, and she makes that challenge. And to tell you, she got called for a foul there, but no one got past her. On the left wing side for Zeman, but the referee stops play. They'll start it again. Lori Henry now coming up for this from her back position. They're trying to get Houston back into the lineup. And at their next break, they will do that. And now the referee will acknowledge the linesman on the near side. He's got his arm up. Well, he's not going to allow the substitution. Not at this time. Ball will be put in play on that far wing side of the field. Off the restart, into the box. The goalkeeper right there making the save. Brescher, and she had a host of UNC players.
Boy, did she ever. Laurie Henry was in there hoping just to get a little touch on that. If she'd been able to just flick it backwards with her head, I'm sure that would have gone in. And I'm surprised that the NC State defenders did not get back really to protect their goalkeeper there. But of course, maybe the goalkeeper called loudly for it, in which case she wants some space and she doesn't want all the defenders getting in her way.
Just about 3 minutes to go here in the opening half of play, and North Carolina obviously wants to take that lead into the dressing room at halftime. Hyatt throwing it in off Gebauer, 5th leading scorer in the history of UNC. There's some great names in front of her, including the great April Heinrichs.
And Gebauer really not having a great game so far. JP, she's been on the bench for a little bit, but to rest her and try some other combinations which have worked, frankly, she has not really stamped much of her authority on the attacking part of the game. It's come mostly out of other players.
Gebauer this year, 9 goals, 8 assists, 26 points. Here's Rutten sending it in wide. Wondering about that frustration comment you made before. They're not stringing the passes together.
That's right.
They're shooting from downtown, and they're not going to score from there.
And that's a bad decision by Jill Rutten. And these sort of things happen to all kinds of players. In the last 2-3 minutes of a half, when you're tired and the concentration begins to lapse a little bit, you start to do things that you normally wouldn't do otherwise. And there was once again several players in front of her with whom she could have worked 1-2 and opened up a hole in defense. Instead opted for a very low percentage long-range shot.
Well, halftime is coming up, and Larry Gross, I'm sure, will be reminding the women that they've got a lot of time left on there and not to panic. Still a long way from being over. Here's Garreau.
Yeah, great move. Super move by Fabienne Garreau to get away, and then she lost it, but
she deserved more for that.
Yeah.
Rutten couldn't get it by Hegstad. Garnata after it, but there's a nice Kerrigan move for Garreau, and Gebauer coming back. Everyone coming back to help out for North Carolina. Gebauer had an ankle problem last year, recovered from that. This year, problem with a jaw injury, and has managed to bounce back and play despite that pain. On the left wing side, we've got Zeman in a 1-0 North Carolina lead. It's for the national championship and the bragging rights to Carolina soccer. More people are starting to come in. I don't know whether they were faked out by the 1 o'clock kickoff or not, but there were not nearly this many people at the kickoff, but they're still coming in. About a minute to go in the first half. Unofficial time. Referee will keep track of it on the field. Ball played long to midfield, headed deeper into the North Carolina State zone. And for the Wolfpack, they look to keep it in on that sideline, up for Kerrigan from Jody Osborne, and NC State will retain possession. Osborne will toss it in from the near wing sideline. A 1-0 lead for North Carolina on a Higgins goal from Kalinowski at the 30-minute, 45-second mark. Ball headed straight up, and then Patera clears it out. And we've got a foul there on North Carolina. Referee looking at his watch. Should have less than a half minute to go. No real injuries that I can remember in the first half, or for any reason that the 45 minutes did not tick off in the normal fashion. Up for Garreau on the near sideline. Bumped by Garnata. There was a little physical play there away from the ball after the ball had passed. A little shove from each. Here's Gebauer pushing it off a deflection for Kalinowski, but Kerriman is there for it. Kerriman up for Jody Osborne. Garnata putting some pressure on. Now it's Hamilton and Kerrigan working it, but that's it, says the referee. That's it for the first half of play. Welcome back, everyone. At the end of the first half of play, North Carolina has that 1-0 lead. As we take a look at some second half or first half stats before the second half begins, and you'll see in the shots on goal, North Carolina has the edge there. They outfoul them. 1 corner kick more than NC State, although theirs look more dangerous than NC State's, and the saves NC State with 3 and 1 the other way. But I didn't think that University of North Carolina dominated, but although I agree with what you said, Seamus, I don't think we saw the real North Carolina State team. We may see more of that in the second half. Henry back towards Werden. Instead, it'll go back to the goalkeeper, Proust. Still a lot of time, though, in this one. 45 minutes, and a lot can happen in 45. But Carolina, as they usually are in the lead. They're not used to losing. They're not used to tying. And as you said in the first half, they're not used to trailing either.
That's right.
Hooper. Good habits are tough to break, aren't they?
Yep, and Hooper's habits getting her in a little bit of trouble. She's trying everything that she possibly can to get away from Laurie Henry, but Laurie Henry has just played her very smartly indeed. She hasn't overcommitted. She hasn't gone for too many of the fakes. There was only one time when she was in a little bit of pressure towards the end of the first half, and Hooper then decided to take on a few other players herself, and that bailed Henry out. But so far, Hooper has not been able to come up with what she needs to get away from Laurie Henry or to help her teammates by capitalizing on that one-on-one marking situation. Because if you are marked tightly one-to-one, then you can essentially put your defender out of the game by just playing the ball away quickly from yourself.
A flick from Gebauer is broken up. On the charge, Hamilton from the back, and her second strong run, but nothing happens at the end of it, and Proust will make an easy play. North Carolina State has had an outstanding year, and the NCAA, in fact, ranked their women's schedule as the toughest in the country, but yet they were 10-1-3 against the top 20 teams, and no one has played North Carolina like NC State has this year, tying them twice and then ending up winning one on penalty kicks to win the ACC tournament. So they've proven that they can play with them. And that was probably part of the halftime discussion. They should not get down. Just a 1-0 lead at this point is not a lock on this game. On the other side of the field, Osborne and Garnata, and it goes out of play. And North Carolina State trailing 1-0. We'll see the ball go to North Carolina with Ava Hyatt. And now Shannon Higgins will go over instead as we speak. 1-0. University of North Carolina. Shannon Higgins. 4 shots on goal to NC State's 2. I love it. Into the box. Headed down by Henry. Loose ball. Gebauer to Kalinowski. Oh, that's a good block. She teed it up, and it looked like Patera got the block.
It was Patera.
Yeah, that was timely. While I'm saying 1-0 is not money in the bank, I think 2-0 you'd be wagering on North Carolina, although it's not certainly impossible, but they don't lose leads like that. So for NC State, it's all important here to shut down North Carolina while getting a goal themselves. Karaman all the way back. Hamilton right foots it ahead over the midfield line to
Good
Rutten.
Pass. Well taken.
Hooper. There's Henry again. With her stride for stride, just won't let her through. Hooper, though, back up and tackled out of play. Henry frustrating Hooper, and then a little frustrated herself in the end.
Yeah, well, again, Hooper won this ball and gave it away. Let's see how she wins it. She's got her elbows in and she slides down, but she wins the ball. Now look, when she gets up, she tries to, well, I guess we may not see it. Yes, no, she tries to pull the ball away instead of playing it to a teammate. See, she had a teammate there, number 6, Kerrigan, who's an experienced player, and Hooper should simply have given it immediately to her and got on the attack. Instead, she tried to do something individual and broke it down.
Garreau trying to beat Laura Boone. With second effort, she might. Now to Elena Kraft, and there's Hegstad coming from behind and fouling.
Tor Heel foul.
Beerta Hegstad,
Free kick.
who scored 1 goal yesterday in the 3-0 win over California. We told you before that Jean-Paul Verhees, the California coach, picked NC State to win this when Greg Ryan, Wisconsin's coach, picked North Carolina. Welcome back, everyone, to Fetzer Field here at Chapel Hill, North Carolina, for the women's NCAA Div1 National Championship. John Paul Della Camera and Seamus Mallon with you. It's a 1-0 North Carolina lead on a Shannon Higgins goal. Trouble on this end, but North Carolina can't make that final pass. It was blocked out of play by NC State. Throw in for Andrea Zeman for Hegstad, headed out by Elena Kraft, so they'll try it again. Goal came at the 30-minute, 45-second mark from Higgins. Here's Hegstad on a cross in front, headed out. Not out yet, though, Kalinowski, and should love to get that one back because she had a good crack at it.
She had indeed a good crack at it, and NC State defense under a lot of pressure there. Hamilton doing a good job initially, but they're pretty tired back there. Mary Patera has done a very hard afternoon's work already over at left back, and maybe she could use a breather, but the breathers are going to the UNC team, who bring in 3 substitutes now.
Well, they're changing in waves. Houston is back in, so is Stacy Blazo. On the left wing side, now the right side comes to Elena Kraft. And now April Kemper defending. Kemper is into the lineup replacing Debbie Lisk. Boone Now Houston playing it all the way in. Right back towards the keeper. Llewellyn Poor also makes an appearance out there. She's a freshman from Tampa, Florida. One of those people that I talked about earlier. Participated in 4 sports in high school, so Anson Dorrance gets good athletes, not just good soccer players, because he'll change their position. He'll work them into different spots as he sees fit. Here's Higgins going long. Stacy Blazo, who scored 1 goal yesterday. Nice cutback. May have a defender beat, but it's broken up. Hegstad trying to play it into Poor. She'll get another crack. Llewellyn Poor tackled by Jill Rutten dangerously right there by the box.
Oh, he's
calling a penalty kick. It was just inside the box, and if you call a foul there, you had to call it. That was just inside.
Well, we'll see the replay here. Nice turn initially. And look at that pulling in the shorts, but then the ball is partially cleared. Now here's where the foul comes up shortly after that. The ball is sort of scattered around there now. She's just inside the penalty area, and a tackle, very unfortunate tackle by Jill Rutten, who is really not happy with her game so far. She struggled so hard. She's worked tremendously hard. She looked very tired, frankly, at halftime. And she made a tough decision on a tackle there.
Higgins scored once yesterday on a penalty kick. Here she comes again. Off a right foot, scores. And I'll tell you what, she does not power that ball, Seamus. She lobs it in. It's 2-0 North Carolina. Welcome back, everyone, at Chapel Hill. And now North Carolina State in red with a pretty strong work order facing them. They've got a long way to go to come up with 2 goals against a North Carolina team, Seamus, that has allowed either no goals or 1 goal for, what, 179 games out of their last 194. It's not impossible, but it's going to be hard to do.
Well, it's very tough because they have little in the way of a bench to go to help out with players who are working very, very hard. They have not been able to get the ball to roll very well for them. Hamilton has made some good runs forward from the back. Linda Hamilton, they may need to do a bit more of that because she can take on players. She does have a lot of experience, and they need to do something to unbalance that UNC defense, because so far they've been pretty steady.
We talked before in the pregame, in fact, you were talking about the 2 midfield players, and look what they've done. Higgins has gotten both of the goals, the last one at 57:03 officially on the penalty kick, and Rutten on that tough tackle caused the penalty kick to be taken. I'm wondering how much of that was a bit of frustration in terms of trying to do it all on Jill Rutten's part. There was another player there, and that's why I questioned the challenge from behind as it was.
Yeah.
Ball played all the way back.
It was an unusual decision for her because she's been so strong and so intelligent about her choices, and it was just over the line. But no question, it was in the penalty area.
Karaman now on the left wing side. Brings it up. It's a 2-0 lead for North Carolina. NC State with Kemper, left wing, leaving it off. Broken up in the play, but Karaman is there again. Looking for Hooper. Hooper, nice cut. Werden coming in and takes her down, and he's going to call that. So it's a penalty kick there.
Well,
how many times have you seen penalty kicks a minute and a half apart?
And let's give some credit to Hooper here, who we said had been having some frustration and making some bad decisions here. For one of the few times she does a terrific job on Henry. She keeps her at bay with that arm, as she's been doing in many games, but cuts it inside. And then there's a clash here, and it really is a question as to who clobbered who, because Hooper almost drew that one herself by hurling her body towards the defender, and eventually the defender went over too, but the referee felt that a good chance was taken away from her by that tackle, and now she has a chance to tie it up herself. She will take the penalty.
We saw those fouls. There are 21 total fouls in this game, and a lot of it has been let go on both sides. That doesn't tell you how physical I think part of this game has been. Hooper now with a chance to bring her teammates back and change the emotion and the scoreboard. Charmaine Hooper, sophomore from Canada, led the ACC in scoring this year. Her teammate Garreau was second. Looking at the goalkeeper Proust. Hooper, left footer, and she'll make it count. Hooper with another one of those little weak shots, no power behind it, and we're told she can shoot from either foot. Went with the left, and Proust as you guessed, didn't appear to be guessing the right way.
No, not a very well struck ball at all. But again, she almost seems to hit the ground at the same time. But she certainly steered it into the corner. It took 4 bounces before it got there. But it was driven towards the corner, and her nice sort of fake, the body fake she gave up there, made the keeper go to her right. And my guess is she's regretting that, because the ball was hit so slowly that had she stayed in the middle and dived to left, I think she probably would have been able to save it.
Look at the year that she's had.
Yeah.
15 goals as a sophomore. You're going to be hearing a lot more from her in the next couple of years with NC State. That brings him right back in. Time of the goal, 60-45. So it's about 3 minutes plus, actually. Said a minute and a half earlier. It seemed like it was so quick, back to back. But if my math is correct, they're about 3 minutes or so apart. Ball played in on goal, and it stopped there easily. But this gives North Carolina State some energy. The heads won't be down now. Now they know that it can be done.
Yeah, and they've scored the all-important goal, which they need to do. I mean, going 2-0 down against UNC in their home park, where they've never lost, would have looked like an insurmountable challenge. But now they've gotten one back, and as you say, it's a new game.
Nothing like a quick penalty kick to bring you right back in. Hegstead was challenged there by Elena Kraft, and now it's tossed upfield. Rutten was after it. Tough challenge from Ava Hyatt, and now it's Hegstead. You're going to see this game go up another level on both sides now. Zeman up for Hegstead. Good ball. Kalinowski. Kalinowski right across and just missed. Good cut from Garnado. You know, we've not seen in this game, we've not seen an offside, have we?
I don't
remember
think so.
one
No, that's
single
right.
offside in this game.
Well, Hamilton, that time, the reason why there was such an open in the defense is because Hamilton had made the initial challenge. Here's Hamilton coming out from her super position. She makes a challenge. She loses it. She's down and out, and that opens up the possibilities then. There you see her grounded, and there's the chance, but they play it very nicely over here to the left, and Kalinowski has a chance. She drills it beautifully with the left foot. She's got a very educated left foot, but just went past the far post. But very nice distribution out of a good chance when the commitment had been made by 2 central defenders, and gave the chance to UNC.
Jody Osborne back in. Michelle Keim goes back out to the sidelines, and just losing it there was Lindsay Brescher, and that'll force a corner. She tried to keep it in on that end line, but she was unable to handle the ball cleanly. And here's Shannon Higgins, one of the many areas where this person shines on those corners. And you can watch out for Hegstead and a host of others up front. A high ball in the middle. Loose ball off a deflection. Here's Gebauer. A right-footed shot is deflected out. Should be another corner.
Yeah, it's another corner.
They caught that. That was a tough one to spot. But the official was right there, so another corner kick coming up.
Awful lot of crowding in that goal area. They're just, there are about 17 players in, in the box.
Tough to lobby for more space in there. Played in towards Gebauer, headed out. A long way to run for Andrea Zeman. A 2-1 lead now. North Carolina has the edge. Ball played up towards Gebauer on a one-hop. It's controlled by Brescher. We talked to you about how good North Carolina is defensively. In their last 45 games, 35 shutouts, and the other 10 games, they've allowed just 1 goal. Coming out, I thought a bit late, was Proust, but she got there in time.
Well, that was a promising looking attack initially when Jill Rutten made the first run forward before pushing it off to Elena Kraft, but her ball forward was not of the quality that was needed.
No one feels better, too, I might add, than Jill Rutten, whose foul gave up a penalty kick and seemed to give North Carolina State an insurmountable deficit. Here's Hegstead right across. Loose ball. Gebauer couldn't handle the bounce, and now it's cleared out the other way. Boone, and that is knocked out of play, and North Carolina will get it. Rutten is a junior, and without her, NC State would never have gotten this far, and that's why it's always tough when a gifted player makes the mistake that costs their team a goal. And earlier it was Laura Kerrigan, their all-time leading scorer, who had given up the ball on that first goal. Garnata now on the far side is broken up. We have 24 minutes, 36 seconds to play, and the only thing we can tell you for sure, the national champion will be from the state of North Carolina, but that's about it. NC and NC State.
Yeah, well, we knew that at 3:30 yesterday. That's not new news.
Yes, we did. No, I didn't say it was new news. I said it's one thing we can tell you. I didn't promise a scoop. Here's Gebauer, offside. Gebauer takes the shot. I looked immediately over to the linesman, and he had it up. He overheard me say earlier that we had not had an offside call all day. but there were not two defenders between her and the ball when that ball was first played. Good thought, though.
Yeah, good decision by the linesman in a good spot. No question about that. NC State hasn't caught on to this yet, or they're getting a goal kick. The referee is trying to explain to them that, well, he's allowing a goal kick. Peculiar.
Yeah, Mary Patera. Did he overrule his linesman? Because Gebauer did strike it over the goal. On the left side, Kalinowski knocked out a play by Karaman. But it'll be a throw-in, not a corner kick. It went over the sideline, not the end line. Hegstad. 2-1 lead, North Carolina. Gebauer, Kalinowski. And this one goes behind the net. And now a goal kick coming up for Lindsay Brescher. Remember, some of these names, you're going to be hearing them 1 year from right now, because these two clubs are going to be back. This is the first time, too, since 1982 that the national championship was not decided on a shutout. Both teams have scored here. In fact, both teams have scored on penalty kicks. Hegstad, good strong run, slowed down by a trio of NC State players.
Yeah, and Hegstad making the foul herself as she came back to try to win it back.
Those are tough odds, weren't they?
Yeah.
1 against 3, and she gets the foul.
Jill Rutten playing, again, a more withdrawn midfield role, it seems to be, in the last 20 minutes. She's been coming back to help out in defense, and that, of course, led to the foul, but it also means that she's not going to be as much of a, oh, nice trap there.
Played in off Garreau. If she could have handled that one cleanly, she might have been able to walk in.
I was going to say she's not going to be as much of an offensive threat, at which point she puts a great ball through to Garreau.
Karaman. Short toss into Patera. Gebauer after that one. All the way to the far side, headed down by Kerrigan to Garreau. NC State has a lot of firepower. They spread their scoring throughout the lineup, especially among the first 6 or so.
Corner kick. Garreau in a 1-on-3 situation there did amazingly well, and given the time she had the ball, I would have thought somebody from NC State would be over to help bail her out of that situation, but nobody came to her at a good enough angle for her to solve the problem. Well, let's see if Jill Rutten can do something with this corner kick here.
21-42 left in the game. 2-1 North Carolina. Rutten sending it in. Hamilton was going to go up for that challenge, but NC beat her to it. Now on the right side, Karaman. Too many white and blue uniforms. Garnado down the left wing, could develop into a 2-on-1 as Kalinowski hustles to get into play. Nice job by Patera with some help from Hamilton. That's a good play defensively.
Yeah, very good play, and she looked like she was finally going to release it over to Gebauer, who was making the central run here. She's about to flick it with the outside of her foot, just about here. You'll see her attempt to flick it there, you see, and there the ball was just knocked away by the second defender coming over, Patera. Mary Patera, I think, has had a very, very strong game today.
Throw in coming up, and Hegstad, who was going to take it out, instead it'll be Zeman. Who's the referee looking at? Is Patera hurt?
Yes.
Patera might be hurt. And the referee looks, they're going to keep her in the lineup. In for Hegstad. Patera may have injured herself at least slightly on that tough collision. She made a nice tackle. Ball kicked towards the end line. Hegstad trying to get inside of her player, Kraft. A high one for the keeper. Misplayed it. Right-footed shot by Hyatt is blocked. It never gets on net. Here's Zeman coming in. Crunch.
Oh, that's a rough tackle. That was Hamilton.
Hamilton's getting a card.
I think appropriately so. That was a very physical challenge indeed. Over the top of the ball and just going for anything that was in the area.
Well, I've not seen the card come out yet, and I think that's why Andrea Zeman came out. The referee said, I got this one. I was sure that a yellow card would come out. That's a warning.
Well, we'll see the tackle here. She comes straight out and really doesn't get to the ball at all, but just makes a sort of a mid tackle that takes the player down and could easily have caused some damage. I tell you, if the hot dogs hadn't been there, it would have come down.
Higgins, you can hear the voice of Larry Gross saying, watch the chip, the head coach of North Carolina State. Ball played on a soft touch. Higgins, there's a deflection and a goal! Shannon Higgins! The ball was going wide. And a deflection, no chance for the keeper. 3-1, North Carolina. Welcome back, everyone, as North Carolina has a 3-1 lead now over North Carolina State. And we talked before about Linda Hamilton. It's an unfortunate break because when you see a player challenge like that after the wall, putting her body on the line pretty much, it's a tough break to have it deflect off her and result in a perfect goal for North Carolina.
Yeah.
So she doesn't get the yellow card, but she gets something much worse than that, actually.
It creates a hat trick for an opponent.
Tell you what, you read that scoreboard at the end of the game, it's Higgins, Higgins, and Higgins, just like it was yesterday. And again, I point out she's a junior. She'll be back next year, and if they thought she was a dominating player and impact player this year, what's going to happen next year?
Sounds like a South Boston law firm.
It does,
Higgins,
doesn't
Higgins
it?
and Higgins, right.
I think I might use them. To sue you today, maybe for non-support. Here's Gebauer playing it across. Higgins again. No, not that time. Not that time. But, you know, every time the ball comes to her, you can feel the crowd. They can sense that something might happen, the anticipation.
Well, she's got a lot of freedom, too. That is, she's been able to find the spaces. They've not really one-on-one marked her out of the game as they would have needed to do because they've been primarily trying to get back into the game themselves.
Ball played up now by Hamilton. Headed down by Zeman. Loose ball that goes across the line. Gordon coming up here for North Carolina State, Elena Kraft. We'll get the official time in a moment. At 16 minutes, 47 seconds left in the game. 3-1, North Carolina leading it over North Carolina State. Hooper to Kerrigan. Well, they came back from a 2-goal deficit to make it a 1-goal game. Can they do it again? That's what NC State will try to do now. Time of that last goal, 70 minutes and 51 seconds. Gebauer coming back to help out.
Bad break for Hooper there. She lost Laurie Henry for just a second with a nice fake, and then unfortunately for her lost her footing, but was a promising looking move there for just a split second.
Kerrigan, right-footed, the opposite way, and off Hegstad. Be a throw-in coming up for North Carolina State. Elena Kraft will put it in. Off a block from Kalinowski. Now played back to the midfield area. Kerriman all the way across to Jody Osborne. Osborne with a little room. Plays it up intended for Hooper. Laurie Henry cutting that off. And Hooper just reached out and pushed Henry. The frustration, I guess, settling in. You know, when you're a good goal scorer, and let's face it, Hooper definitely is, it's tough to play with a shadow, and Henry has been there for every time that Hooper's been there.
Yep, she really has. And you see this ball is really pretty hopeless to get to. Henry shielding all the way, and then just the elbow.
She was just trying to help her get on the track.
Yeah, her elbows have been up in the last couple of days on a number of occasions.
Look at Hegstad, got behind the defense, and it's kicked out wisely by the goalkeeper. But you could see at the end of the game, Hegstad, the fitter there of the two athletes between her and Kraft, they were side by side at the start, but then Hegstad got that second win. And I think sometimes that 3-1 lead makes you a little bit faster, a little more hungry.
Yeah, that's true. But they do have a lot of natural speed, too.
Yes.
And that's been a big plus for them in lots of important positions, not just in the wide positions in attack. They do have some quick people out of midfield, and that's been a substantial difference for them in midfield.
Higgins playing it in. Larry Gross told us that, in fact, before the game, that the UNC had more overall team speed. Here's Laura Boone. At midfield, Hooper will intercept it. Hooper will give it up. Jill Rutten. What a great year she's had.
Good
Playing
ball.
it into Garreau. Doesn't quite make it.
It would have made it to Hooper, though, because Hooper's got about 6-7 inches of height that Garreau does not have.
On the wing. A collision there as Kerrigan meets the turf. A 3-1 lead for North Carolina. We saw, Seamus, the last loss that North Carolina had to George Mason. Last game of 1985 in the championship. Since then, they've been unbeaten.
It's a good run by Hamilton, who's still got a lot of competitiveness and hunger. Oops, bad foul.
Too much competitiveness
Too much
and hunger.
there. Yeah.
Look at the referee. I think he was a little disgusted because, remember, he gave her a warning earlier. He just had his hands on his hips. And I think he said, oh, no, not again. Didn't you listen the last time I spoke? But I liked Hamilton's play out there on the field. And the fact that she'll go all out. A 2-goal deficit. She's still working hard. She's still trying. But some of her overzealous play, I think, takes away from how well normally she does read the game, and she makes up her mind to commit, and she has not been out of position all that often. Just a sophomore. Proust kicking it up near midfield. A couple of challenges there, and they'll call that foul on North Carolina State. Hamilton is there again. Ball put into play by Higgins to Zeman. A lot of room there, and now it'll be closed by Kerman, but it's pushed through. Zeman from Kalinowski. That was a nice little give and go. Off a deflection, Gebauer keeps it alive. Nice deke there. Tough tackle. Loose ball, and now Kerman. Up for Hooper. Hooper and Henry, are they holding each other down?
Yeah.
That's a tough one to figure out. Who's holding who, or is it whom?
Whom.
See, I knew you'd correct me. I posed that for that reason.
Well, that was a nice attack by UNC with a chance for a little one give and go. The return ball was just too softly hit for the shot to be set up. But again, the reason for that big space in the middle was because of the sweeper had gone forward for North Carolina State, namely Laura.
Oh, you're
right,
the first
Linda
time.
Hamilton. Excuse me.
Stick with your first thought. On the right side is Kalinowski. Will have to do it herself. Now help is on the way, including Shannon Higgins, who seems like she could just run for the entire 90 minutes as it's cleared out. Throw in coming up. Throw in from that far wing side of the field. University of North Carolina with a 3-1 lead. They've won 5 out of the last 6 championships, and the last couple consecutive. Could be 3 in a row here if they maintain this lead with 11:44 to play. On the right side, Henry with a block. All the way back, Zeman. Tell you, it'd be tough to pick stars of a game in this kind of a game, Seamus. You know that Higgins, obviously, because she's figuring in all of the scoring, but how about the job that Henry has done at the back? She's not looked flashy or spectacular, but she's kept Hooper out of the game except for that penalty kick, which is no fault really of Henry's in terms of giving up the goal.
She has indeed been very strong, and it has been a frustrating afternoon for Charmaine Hooper, who, yes, has the goal from the penalty and had just a few decent half chances, but she's young, she's got a lot of talent, and I think by the time she's a senior, she's going to be just one of the absolutely most devastating players up front that women's soccer has, although there are certainly many more on their way up now as the sport gets more and more popular.
Okay, you just saw a very important stat I thought flashed by too. 15-4 shots on goal, University of North Carolina. How about Kalinowski too this afternoon? A couple of assists, some heady play, some nice touches on the ball. She was not in the starting lineup, but she was the first sub, as I recall, to come in, not including the goalkeeper.
Well,
she's done well.
And Wisconsin yesterday had only 2 shots on goal against North Carolina, and so they've faced only 6 shots in 2 games. Can't beat that.
And the stats just keep on coming, don't they? University of North Carolina. Statistics upon statistics, all positive stuff, all of the things that the program has done. But when you talk to other coaches, Seamus, they seem to think that the dynasty will not live as long in the next 10 years, let's say, as it did in the last 6 or 7. Nothing against Anson Dorrance and his program. Everyone is just getting stronger.
Yeah.
And that's why they feel that. They'll still be a winner. They'll still be in the NCAA tournament. You could probably make that as a good gamble for the next 10 years, but I don't know if you'll see anyone winning 5 of 6 again or 6 of 7. Might be too hard to do with the way women's soccer has come in the last 4 or 5 years.
It's going to be a terrific challenge to do so. You're right, an awful lot depends on what he manages to bring in, but other people at other colleges are going to be bringing in players of good, strong quality and experience as well. So the game can only get better and better.
And this is only the start of a great rivalry. We have an injured player down in the field. Time running out on the North Carolina State Wolfpack.
Stacy Blazo, number 10, now comes in to replace the injured North Carolina player, Pam Kalinowski.
Well, they're going to restart things, I guess, with a drop ball, similar to a face-off in hockey. You don't see that happen too often in soccer. Referee makes sure that both sides are ready. 3-1, North Carolina leading over NC State. And now on the right side, Ava Hyatt will pick it up. Up for Gebauer. She had a player open, couldn't hit her. Now it's Zeman trying to break through. That was Bertha Hegstad, who was wide open on that left wing sideline. They may not have spotted her. There comes Hegstad with Gebauer to the left. Hegstad to Wendy Gebauer. Now Hegstad started to run, then pulled him outside the box. Hegstad over one tackler, or Gebauer over one tackler to Hegstad. She's taken down by Elena Kraft. And so there'll be a free kick coming up. North Carolina putting it back in play. They lead it 3-1. Shannon Higgins, couple of goals, one on a penalty kick. Actually, all 3 goals. Ball played in.
Let's again, Mary Patera cutting in there in front, because that was a good chance for Bertha Hegstad to get another header on goal, as she did in the semifinal for the first tally for the Tar Heels.
Hyde will play it back to Proust. How about the stat, if this game were to end today, Seamus, that in this weekend alone, Shannon Higgins, 6 goals scored by North Carolina, figured in all of them, scored 5 of them? Was it yesterday she had the one goal, two goals?
She had 2 assists and 1 goal yesterday.
So she ends up with 4 and 2. That's a heck of a weekend. Hooper playing it up now. It's broken up. Now it's Patera. Upfield off of Hamilton. Here's Garreau coming in, and Boone slowed her down. Yeah, that would have made it interesting if Garreau had gotten in. They'll get a corner kick, but if she had gotten in, gotten a goal, it'd still be too early to call this game over.
Well, we should give a lot of credit to Boone also. She's had a very solid afternoon. She's only been beaten a couple of times. And I've been very impressed by the play of Laura Boone, as she's come up against this very skillful young woman from Canada, Fabienne Garreau, who now comes off the field.
Kemper is back on. April Kemper, co-captain along with Laura Kerrigan. From the right wing sideline, Rutten blocked out of play by Boone, but they'll get a throw in instead of the corner kick. Here's Kraft playing it in toward the box, cleared out of there. North Carolina with Stacy Blaze coming out. Stacy Blazo looking for it against Mary Patera. Blazo tries to keep it in front of her. Patera took her down.
But Patera thought she had been fouled. I think she had a bit of a case, frankly, by Stacy Blazo, but she kept battling in there and eventually committed the foul. But it's going to take something really quite unusual here for UNC to have a failure in composure and lose a 2-goal lead with just the waning minutes of the game left.
Off the bounce. A save made by the keeper, but Garnata got in. I thought the ball was originally intended for Gebauer, and North Carolina State almost got fooled on that one. 3-1, North Carolina leading it for the championship of Women's Division I NCAA. Ball played on the right side, intended for Kemper. Blocked there and cleared out by Werden. On the right side, kept alive. Elena Kraft got it from Kerriman. Now upfield, Hamilton broken up by Higgins.
Hamilton's gone forward, obviously, and Gebauer has gone back to marker.
Here's a turnaround pass from Lisk. Blocked, and now Hegstad there to help out. The clock shows 3:09, but there's probably going to be a couple of minutes added on for that injury time to Kalinowski. Patera on the right side. Took a bump from Garnata, then sidestepped Blazo. Nice ball work from Patera. Lead pass, Carla Werden, though, clears it away. Patera again at the midfield line. Left foots it ahead for Hooper. 2 players going down. Hooper and Henry.
Yeah, and Hooper hit from behind by Laura Henry, who I think might have bumped her forward on the back of Hooper's head.
It's a 3-1 lead for North Carolina. Here's Hooper from downtown. That's blocked. Long-range shot. Now played forward. Hegstad heads it upfield, but it's intercepted by Osborne. That's blocked away and clear. Stacy Blazo after it. Oh, she got by her. Here's Patera marking her. Blazo, nice cut. The net's empty. And a goal. 4-1, North Carolina.
Yeah, well, the player you got to feel sorry for here is Mary Patera, who's really had a terrific game, I think, back there, and they're consoling her in front of the goal as these players celebrate their 4th goal. And a very fine piece of finishing indeed by Stacy Blazo. But you got to feel a little bit of pain for Patera, who was surprised as she went back and looked like she had it under control, but she did not really have it under control and was dispossessed well by Blazo, who faked the keeper out and then just touched it in. So A very fine opportunistic goal by Blazo, indeed. You see Patera just taking it a little bit too casually, not realizing how close Blazo was. She beats the keeper and slots it home for a 4-1 victory. I would not have predicted victory. I shouldn't say victory. It's almost a victory, but I would not have predicted a 4-1 edge before this game for UNC.
Well, Blazo looks awful good. 88-15 the time of the goal. She takes Higgins off as the only person on the goal-scoring side for Carolina. But Blazo, a very good-looking freshman, coming off the bench, making things happen. May press for a starting bid next year. Or who knows? Anson Dorrance has so many role players that doesn't have to always get him into that starting lineup to be a factor. And that was a late charge. And that's where frustration, I'm sure, has settled in. Kerrigan. North Carolina Tar Heels have held their opponents to 1 goal or less in 92% of the games. And the list goes on and on. Ball cleared upfield now by Carla Werden. I see Anson Dorrance has put Donna Wrigley back on, no doubt to give the senior a chance to be on the field for winning the championship. 4-1, North Carolina leading. And now we're on referee's time. And I would think there's a couple of minutes. He's arguing with Wendy Gebauer.
Yeah, Gebauer wants Garreau to get a yellow card, and the referee's warning Garreau, as well he should. That was a chippy foul by Fabienne Garreau, and there are others who feel that she's had that side to her play from time to time, but she put in a very strong effort in a losing cause this afternoon.
Carla Worden's shot stopped by Lindsay Brescher.
Shot by number 5, Carla Worden.
Ball cleared upfield. I mean, without even looking at the sheet, I can tell you that North Carolina State has not given up 4 goals in the game this year. They give up 8 total the entire season. Here's a chance for Garnata. Garnata, nice push, but then is blocked by Karaman. It's still loose. Well, some nice stuff in the box and some tight quarters there. Referee glancing at his watch. Not much time left, and there will not be a new champion crowned this afternoon. Ball played to the corner. Intended for number 12, Donna Wrigley. Went out of play. It'll be a throw-in coming up. Cleared out to Laura Boone. Laura Boone plays it back. Upfield. Now kicked straight up by Mary Patera. Kerrigan is there. So is Osborne. So is Hyatt. No one can claim it. And now it's Garnata. Now NC State on the scoring end here with just 1 goal. UNC with 4. They are the winners as the referee signifies that this game is over. And the North Carolina Tar Heels, winners again. They have won 6 out of the last 7 championships, including 3 in a row. So a very familiar pose for Anson Dorrance as the winning coach. And the Tar Heels of North Carolina celebrate.